Today's reading goal is to be able to compare and contrast state government powers and federal government powers. Lesson 9, Section 7. The federal system connects the nation and the states. The framers of the Constitution wanted a strong national government, but they also wanted the states to keep significant powers. They accomplished both goals by creating a federal system of government in which power is shared between the national and state governments. Powers belonging to the national government. The Constitution gives some powers only to the national government. In general, these are powers best exercised by one central authority, such as declaring war and making treaties. The Constitution also says that only the national government can print and coin money, since the framers had learned from experience that separate state currencies made no sense. Similarly, Article 1 gives Congress the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations, and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. Known as the Commerce Clause, this provision gives the national government the power to regulate interstate commerce. Interstate commerce is trade and other business dealings between two or more states. For example, under the Articles of Confederation, many states tried to protect their own industries by taxing goods imported from other states, threatening interstate trade. The Commerce Clause prevented this and made the entire United States a common market, or free trade zone. There were several advantages to giving states a common market. First, goods and resources could flow more easily across the country, which is important because different regions do different things well. New Englanders might be very good at making cloth, but their region is not good for growing cotton, while Southerners might have lots of cotton, but few factories for turning it into cloth. Making interstate trade easier for cloth makers and cotton growers helps both businesses thrive. Second, the common market made it easier to create large businesses that cross state lines. This was very important to companies like those that built the nation's railroads in the 19th century. Third, the common market helped to create a single national economy. Under the Articles of Confederation, it was almost as if the country had 13 small economies. These could never have grown as diverse or powerful as the U.S. economy did. Notice that the Commerce Clause also gives the national government the right to regulate trade with Indian tribes. In effect, the Constitution treats native tribes as foreign governments, and relations with these nations within a nation are the responsibility of Congress, not the states. Powers belonging to the states. The Constitution does not spell out specific powers of the states, but instead says that the states retain or keep any powers that are not given to the national government. For instance, the Constitution says nothing about schools, marriage, establishing local governments, licensing doctors and lawyers, or most crimes. The states make the laws in these areas of life as long as it does not interfere with rights spelled out in the Constitution. Article 4 of the Constitution does, however, outline the responsibilities of states to each other, and says that each state must give full faith and credit to the laws and court decisions of other states, which means accepting other states' laws and court decisions as legal. For example, a driver's license issued in one state is legal in every state. Similarly, states must obey legal contracts that people have made in other states. Like the Commerce Clause, the Full Faith and Credit Clause brings stability to business dealings. States are also required to help each other track down fleeing criminals, so criminals cannot escape justice by fleeing to another state. Finally, the Constitution does not allow one state to discriminate, which means to treat a person or group unfairly. unreasonably against a citizen of another state. A state may not, for example, refuse to let a child who was born in another state attend its public schools. Shared powers. Federal and state governments also share some powers. For example, both levels of government can collect taxes, build roads, borrow money, and regulate education. If you think federalism, which is the constitutional system that shares power between the national and state governments, sounds complicated, you are right. During presidential elections, Congress sets the date for national elections, while the states register voters and run the elections. States count the ballots, while the national government organizes the Electoral College vote, which determines who will be president. Federalism is also complicated because the Constitution provides only a general framework for the sharing of powers. There was no way for the framers to spell out rules for every possible situation. The federal system continues to evolve through new laws, court decisions, and constitutional amendments. The law of the land. Americans may disagree about how to interpret the Constitution, but they may not ignore it. Article 6 states that the Constitution and the laws flowing from it are the supreme law of the land, which means that a state's constitution, laws, and judicial decisions must agree with the Constitution and must not conflict with any other federal laws or treaties. In addition, everyone who holds a state or federal office must promise to support the Constitution.